a talk on the campus about Dr. Carver, what type of person he was, and he was very thrifty. He didn't believe in a whole lot of money. Henry Ford came down, tried to get him to come to the plant, and he said he would never leave Tuskegee. But I do remember my sister happened to be working in the finance department at that time on the campus. And she says that they had to go and beg him to cash his checks. He just didn't believe in spending money. He just didn't, well, he didn't want any. He didn't care whether he had any money or not. All he wanted to do was just give service to the school and to the service to humanity.
I think that's when you're passionate about something, it doesn't really matter whether you're recognized for it or not. And I have a feeling that that's maybe what he felt. He was passionate about what he was doing. He believed in what he was doing, and he knew that he would benefit other people. And as long as he was maintained physically and morally, or whatever other descriptive word you could use, that he didn't really care. And a lot of the economic development of this area and other areas of the country have benefited from what he did financially. And like Mr. Glanton said, someone else, or was it you, Mr. Rose, that someone else had claimed a recognition for something that he had done. That, I don't think that matters when you're passionate about what you're doing, and it brings you a personal satisfaction. And I feel like that's from what I've read about him and heard other people say about him, I feel like that's the way he felt. That his reward was seeing what he had done benefit somebody else.
Even after in his death, I think he left his entire life savings to the Institute, which amounts to about $33,000. Because I don't imagine he was making a whole lot of money in the first place. Because when I was, I worked at Tuskegee on the faculty as an instructor in the Division of Aeronautics, and I was offered a job when the field closed. And I said, well, how much can I make? They wanted me to work as an assistant professor of carpentry. And they said, the best we can do is $145. That was a month. That didn't seem like a lot of money to me, but that's all they were making. That's all they could afford to pay. So that's why I say I don't see where he was making a whole lot of money, and a $33,000 life savings was a lot of money.
Like that in.
One thing that I don't think has been brought out that I discovered during the research for the Invercargill Historic District, that even though, was it the Department of Agriculture that invited him? Who invited him to Dothan? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Do you?
Then I knew it wasn't the chamber.
Okay. Well, he was not invited by the blacks in Dothan. That's for certain. But whomever invited him did not provide him accommodations at I think there were 3 hotels here, the Houston, Martin, and Washington, I think were the hotels.
It was those hotels, but I think that, were you going to say where he stayed? Go ahead.
Well, what I learned in the process that Mrs. McMillan's
That's right.
residence on East Newton Street was where he had lodged. And she did not invite him here. He was invited by whites, but he was not given accommodation in the. And that was strange. Now, I didn't know that until I read that in one of the old newspapers at the public library. But I thought that odd. You know, that there is this scientist, world-renowned scientist that has been invited to Dothan. But he's still a black man, so he had to live in the black community.
That's right. Well, that's it. The black community in those days, 1930s, that was a way of life, and can be different, any different. That's just the way it was. But Miss Macmillan, I think, she was very fond of Dr. Carver because she had gone through Tuskegee herself. And I think she was principal of East Highland, that's right. Yeah. And so she had him at her house that night. He was her guest.
It was just one of the many that came, like Mrs. Bethune came here. She stayed at Miss Macmillan's house, so it was not just him. Any black dignitary that came here had to find some place to stay in the black neighborhood. It was just one of those things. We didn't pay it that much attention then, but now it sort of hits you as odd.
Yeah.
As Mr. Glanton says, that was a way of life at that time. And personally, I didn't run into that kind of a situation because I didn't go anywhere. But and when I did go, I did run into some difficulty occasionally, but not too much. Not too much. And but just those are the things that we really have to live with.
Oh, yeah.
Just have to live with it. My daughter comes along, she says, I wouldn't have stood it. I say, you would have stood it if you wanted to stay alive.
Well, I think it's important that we bring it to the forefront now, because there are a lot of our children have no earthly idea about anything.
What we went through.
Yeah. And I think it's good that there are discussions about it, so that what's the old saying, if you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it. And they need to know, so it needs to be brought to the forefront. When I walked in here this afternoon, I came in here with Mitt. I remembered this little area was where, when I was in college, this was where I came in to get the bus to go to Montgomery. And there was a little window there where those pictures are on the wall that you bought your ticket. And there was a restaurant that you could go to that same window and order a sandwich, but that's as far as you got in this building. Through that door, the restroom here, and out that door to the bus. That was it. We never knew what was on the other side over there. So it's a tremendous change.
Yeah, this is a beautiful bus station now.
Yeah.
Art museum. It is, I tell you, never would have dreamed it. You'd have to see it like as it was
Yes.
to really appreciate what's here now. That's the size of it. But I remember when I was in the service, I came in here one night. I was coming home on furlough. I came in here one night and the bus didn't leave. I couldn't get to Newville till the next morning. So I decided I'd walk down through what they used to call Pleasant View.
Yes.
But I walked down through Pleasant View and I started hearing things and listening to this and that. And I in all of my career in the Army, I never ran as fast as I did that night back to this bus station. This was safety.
Well, Mr. Willie Cancer, that used to be a porter here, used to, he made a deal with Mr. Garland to take passengers that were stranded overnight, I think for $3 per night. He would take them to his house and then pick them up the next morning if they didn't make connections with the buses. So he that's one of the things that he was noted for, that he would look out for those passengers, especially women and children that were wives and children of soldiers. He would make certain that they had some place to spend the night rather than sitting here all night.
That's great. I wish I had known him.
You did know him.
I knew him, but I
You
I
know.
didn't know where to find him.
Oh, then you meant. But he was a porter here.
Yeah.